Hi, Dave Willett from Motorhead Mag here. So we're here in Italy for the 2019 KTM launch. Wide range we've tested today: 125, 150, 252 stroke, 250F, 350 4-stroke and the 450 4-stroke. Today we've been lucky enough to ride Tony Cairoli's track, I believe, which is at Malagrotta here in Italy. So it's been a pretty special day and the track's been pretty good, to be fair. It's been so fun just riding the track, never mind the bikes themselves. And I'm happy to say that the new KTM range certainly does allow you to manoeuvre around the track totally differently to the previous model. And when I say previous model, I mean the 2019 to the 2018, it's different. And it's different because of the chassis. The chassis this year is stiffer and more rigid, but that rigidity doesn't transfer to your hands or to your wrists or even to your arms and shoulders, which is brilliant. So they've managed to get a perfect combination of where the chassis really complements the track and also as well your body, which is key, to be honest, really is key. So what I really found interesting yesterday was the detail spec. So when R&D were talking about, you know, how they got from A to B, so how they managed to improve the product or last year's product, you know, by the test riders, 3D printing, you know, factory riders testing the bikes, you know, and this is over a course of a full year, and just seeing what extremes they go to. So, you know, regarding on a dyno when they've got a robot on the bike and it's riding it and revving it and mimicking certain tracks, and they're just collecting all this data. It was really interesting and really good to see. One of the things about the KTM range now is the movability that you have on the bike. It's just incredible, to be honest. It can really transfer your weight. It's really easy to do that. It's not just me, you know, raving about it for the sake of it. It's just actually nice to feel something that actually works. It's nice to see that a product is delivered, you know, and KTM have certainly managed to do that this year. They've definitely lifted the game. The 450 from bottom to mid, it's got more power, which you think, oh, does it need more power? But actually what that does is it just makes it smoother so that the bike's got more drive. You put the 450 into second gear and, you know, it just stretch, it just goes on forever, which is brilliant. Whereas in the past, you know, I've always felt that second gear was a little bit nervous, even though they only have a 4-speed gearbox. It was just always felt a little bit unsettled. But that's not the case now. You know, with the extra drive and the extra torque, the bike's just tracking straight out of the turns.
So now they got map settings. So you have a traction control setting, but then you got map 1, which is pretty tame. So for the guy who doesn't want a lot of power or doesn't want it to be aggressive, I think when you start it up, it just is automatically in that mode. If you want a little bit more aggressive, you go to map setting 2. So the ECU, that's the nice thing. You can adjust the power and make it more usable, where before with carburetor and all, you just had a bunch of power. So it fits a wide variety of talent.
We have the 450 with an all-new cylinder head. That was also because we are racing in the most competitive classes, doing everything you can do to make the bike even better to ride. You know, especially when it comes to a 450, you don't need to add extra power on. You need to make the power more efficient, need to get it on the ground. And that's actually that was the challenge where the guys were working. And not only on the cylinder head, it's the overall package of the power department of the engine, but connected with the intake, airbox, and also exhaust system.
We have a different routing of the head pipe. We have a new resonance chamber for more response and better performance. And we have a new muffler with a new outer shell, with new caps. And especially in this area, we gained a lot of clearance for the very tight ergonomics. This allowed us to make the plastic very slim and compact here in this area. And in addition, we moved the flange from here to here. This has the huge advantage for the customer and our test riders as well. The biggest highlight on the 450 for sure is the new cylinder head. We managed to move down the camshaft by about 30 millimeters, which brings the rotating masses closer together, closer to the center of gravity of the bike, which is a really nice benefit in terms of handling, because you move the cylinder head a lot if you handle the bike. By doing this, we shrinked everything together. We have new rocker arms, we have new rocker arm axles, a completely new design. We even managed to reduce the parts inside the head to increase the quality, to make the maintenance easier, and everything without losing any performance. So the cam timing is almost identical. We can do the same wave lifts and so on. And the wave train is a lot stiffer than before. All in all, the package I hold in my hand is about 550 grams lighter than the predecessor. And the whole engine got about 50 millimeters lower if you calculate it from this edge here, which brings more freedom to the chassis guys to make a bigger fuel tank, etc. Always smaller packaging is always good.
.250F goes without saying, it's still the fastest bike on the market. Now that it turns better, that's going to be quite an unstoppable machine. I was really impressed with the pipes as well. The FMF pipes across the board, they give the bikes a little bit more of a connection, a little bit more of a punch. They're also a little bit louder. So if you're looking for that, that initial first hit and bit of drive, then FMF is the way forward. Kropovic, they always seem to have this bit where it's like you have a little free roll which goes into, when you come into the turn, when you roll off onto the throttle. Not that these 4-strokes now have got that when, that classic, when you roll off the throttle, the engine drags, because they don't do that standard. But with the Kropovic, that seems to really allow you to, to have that, just to free the engine up just that little bit more, and then extend out later on, so at the top end.
We also touched the 350, we also modified the 250, all in terms of cylinder head, all in terms of better rideability and of better power delivery.
On the 350, one of the highlights is for sure the new cylinder head. We have a new weight-reduced cylinder head with a new casting, with new water pockets, with a new valve cover. We could shave off another 200 grams on the cylinder head alone on the 350. And the second highlight is a new DS clutch as well. We threw out the old 6-coil spring clutch in favor of the newly developed diaphragm steel clutch. This package here saved us around 300 grams of weight, and you have the advantage of the lever force, the low lever force, and the good modulation, and the almost unbreakable clutch. Yeah, all in all, we lost on the 350 about 550 grams only on the power pack side, and on the 250 through the change on the new clutch, we have a weight drop of 300 grams.
2-strokes, 125 2-stroke, so fast, so impressive. In the past, carburetion's always been a little bit of a question. I'm happy to say that seems to be a little bit refined. I was told today that they didn't change anything, on the carbs, whereas normally the needles are dropped or there's a few jets. So, the R&D team are out riding the bikes beforehand and setting them up, which I believe they just run the bikes in today, which was quite good. So I was impressed with the 2-stroke jetting. It definitely seems to be improved. I would say that one of the worst ones for that was obviously the 125. The 250 was spot on, and so was the 150 as well. Regarding the 150, that's such a fun bike to ride. Actually having that 25cc extra, for me, it helps. And that's just because when you come out of the turns, you haven't got to worry about that just holding you for a second. It just carries on driving. And on a 125, when you've got it singing, you've got it absolutely dialed in. Like, that doesn't do it either, but if you're just off the beat just a little bit and you just sink it for a second, it does have a little bit of a lag, and then that's when it picks up. Whereas the 150 will just, if you're off the beat and just sink it a little bit further into that turn or into that sand, it's still going to rip out of it. That's the advantage. Also as well, 150, 125 as well, they've got a new clutch system which is meant to be pretty bulletproof. I didn't have no clutch issues today, happy to say, and I rode the bikes at the end of the day. Bear in mind there was 30 journalists and 23 bikes. 252 stroke, they've got a new pipe which allows you to lean the bike over, crank it over a little bit more in the turn. It's tucked into the engine a little bit more, so it's more central. They realised that it's a 4-stroke world, as much as it hates for me to say that, but they realised that the track's developed differently, and that in the past, pipes have been smashing because of the overhang, whereas KTM have managed to pull that in and also increase the power as well and the delivery. Also as well, the engine sits at a slightly different angle, but riding that bike, you know, it was crisp, and the power delivery is, yeah, it's more than what you need, you know. Then the thing as well is that 250s were known to be, you know, sharp and aggressive. This 250's, yeah, responsive, but it's not like, you know, it's not unrideable. What KTM have done is they've managed to widen their range of customers, and how they've done that is by delivering a product, i.e. the bike, to maneuver better around the track, and you can handle it better, you know.
The 150, you know, just have that 25 extra cc's, you know, it's that little bit extra, so.
Is Pankel transmission. Just some words to Pankel. Pankel is belonging to the KTM family. It is a part of the KTM Industries. This company is known for very high quality drivetrain parts. Formula 1 level, MotoGP level, they are known for their pistons, for their conrods, for their crankshafts. And what they did is they built a brand new factory from the green lawn up exclusively for KTM and Husky. They will build our transmissions now and in the future for all of our models. And this is a huge step forward in terms of shifting performance and quality for us. On the Big Smoker, good news as well. The biggest highlight for me, I would like to point out the new super slim head pipe. The goal was to reduce the size of the head pipe of the two-stroke 250. Normally, if you do it the old school way, by wrapping the pipe tight around the frame, you immediately lose performance. Because if you do tighter bendings in a head pipe, you increase the flow coefficient, and this reduces the power. But by the help of the most modern development and calculation tools, and by using oval cross sections in the head pipe, we managed to even increase the performance of the pipe and reduce the size of the pipe, and increasing the clearance in the critical left side by about 25 millimeters. Yeah, I think this is a huge advantage. We knew from Formula 1 and MotoGP technology that we could do tighter bendings in the pipe by using oval cross sections, and so the first design was made in the 3D. The first concept was made in 3D. And with this design, we went into a simulation and calculation phase. And by the way, we are one of the very few companies which are able to calculate the very, very complex thermodynamics of a two-stroke engine. It is much, much more complicated than on a four-stroke engine. So if we are happy with the result of the simulation and calculation phase, we do our first prototype. We do it with 3D printing. So what we do is we print out segments like this, weld them together, and the pipe is finished. You can see here the welds. These are the segments which we print out in the 3D printer. We weld them together, and we are able to go on the test bed with this pipe. We are able to go on the track with our test riders. If everything runs well, we can release the production tools, and after around 6 months of lead time, we have the first production parts in our hands, with which we do durability testing and referencing again with the first prototype. So the production pipe, of course, has to have the same performance like the first prototypes.
You can see if you go to races where the young kids race, that's where the future racers are growing from, and we never will give up the two strokes. We believe in the two strokes, and at the end of the day, it's a good business for us. We would be stupid to giving up.